Hi there, and welcome to the Empathic Superpower Summit. This is an online series where we inspire and support empath and highly sensitive people to reconnect with their sensitivity and use it as a superpower. Hi friends, I am your host, Fleur Choi, and today I have the pleasure to be with Michelle Howe. Michelle is the founder and president of Empath Evolution. As a powerful channel of high vibrational energy, healing energy, she stepped forward today as an evolutionary guide, an awakening speaker, and a master healer. Michelle offers private sessions, specialized programs, and awakening events that educate and empower you to claim your feelings, release emotional pain, and embrace your own evolution. Hi, Michelle, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. I'm very happy to be able to talk with you today and dive into the subject of empathy and sensitivity.
Awesome. Me too. I love that topic. Love it, love it. Thank you.
So yeah, the first question I will have for you is, are you qualifying yourself as sensitive, and where on the spectrum, because sensitivity is such like a personal trait, and I'm kind of curious to see where you situate yourself.
Well, scientifically, sensitivity has been diagnosed, right? So people talk about it very matter of fact, but we're all individuals. So there is no cookie cutter, this is what an empath is, and this is who the empath is. There are some traits that we all share in common, but to various degrees. And to be honest with you, I kind of see a lot of people as empaths that don't even know that they're empaths at all. I see I see it as this big, if you can feel and sense and intuit what's going on around you, you are reading the energy around you, right? So in that, there's a sensitivity scale. How sensitive is a person? What are they sensitive to? But because we're all feeling, I'm like, I really think that we all should be able to get this inner empath thing. We all are empathic if we allow that to be something that we let out of the bag. Because most people, if they are sensitive, they'll hide it. I would say for most of my life, I knew that I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't going to let someone know that they hurt my feelings. Like, that's not what they want to hear. They don't want to hear anything one way or another. Like, I could kind of gauge what to say, when to say it, in order to sort of protect myself. Because if somebody sees you as weak, then all of a sudden you're dealing with that projection back at you, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you thinking, why are you so different? So looking at the world from a quantum perspective, like the energetic piece is what I really specialize in. What's actually going on? And how do I not take on the traits of other people, the thoughts of other people, the judgments of other people as my own, or like to deflate me? Because a lot of the empaths that I work with, they hide this side of them. They're made almost ashamed and it is confusing to be an empath. It can be, because you're sensing more than you really recognize, and then you're getting confused. And then you're feeling like there's something wrong with you, because your moods could go up, your moods could go down. And how could you explain this? It's not reasonable, it's not rational. So I don't know about you, Flora, but I see, some people are highly sensitive alone. They're just highly sensitive. And other people have the empath skill to it, which really makes it a lot harder to navigate, and then easier in some ways, because now there's a knowing when you're an empath. There is like almost a psychic gift in a sense when you're an empath. You can sense and perceive and know things that maybe not everybody gets, and maybe not everybody, but for us, for me, I knew things. I didn't know why I knew things. I thought everybody knew things, right? But that's not the case. So it's our biggest strength. And my goal is to bring this to the table. Why? Because there's a lot of empaths that are struggling. They don't even know the word empath. They don't know. They have anxiety, they have depression, they have this, they have that. They're navigating in a world of energy. If you understand those dynamics, you're not going to get caught in it the same way. So that's a little bit about me. I don't know if I gave,
I love it, because like there is many empaths out there that kind of like dim, their sensitivity and disconnect from it because somehow it has, it's not really valued if we think about that in our society. And, I know that personally, my parents were kind of like, oh my gosh, she's so sensitive. Like, as a very young age, I got the message that, okay,
you better
it's
hide that,
probably not a good thing.
Hide that part of you. Well,
Yeah.
because the thing is, so we're not equal in as far as what we're sensitive to, why we're sensitive to certain things. It's not that simple to say. There's actually different types of empaths. Some are more emotionally oriented, some are more animal oriented, some are more nature oriented. And you could break it out and try to get really specific, but we're combinations of all of that, and we're really just human. So if you understand how the energetics work and you understand how to strengthen who you are instead of running away from it, and you get some really strong support along the way, because trauma is going to hit someone who's empathic a lot harder, because you're going to want to fix it. Because what it is with an empath is you see and you feel and you connect to the world at such a deep level that somebody else's pain may not even be visible to them, but you can feel it. You'll feel the vibrations going up, the vibrations going down. And I was just telling somebody recently, something's going on upstairs. Okay, stop. I was just telling someone recently that when I was young, and I didn't know this, I was a teenager, every New Year's Eve, without exception, I was a basket case. I didn't know why. I just felt depressed. I just felt lonely. I just felt down. I'm like crying. I'm like, I never had any idea this was a thing, that collectively the energy of people and the earth could be impacting my little world. Right? So if I had that insight and some tools back then, I wouldn't have thought, that I was that off. Right? But I didn't know anything about it. I found things that I could do along the way that made me feel better. And that was good. And I'm sure everybody does that naturally. Mm-hmm. But then there comes a point, maybe, that you need to learn more. So it happens for everybody differently. There is some event, there's some relationship, there's some climax of something that you cannot get back up the same way you fell down. You can't ignore what's going on. So then all of a sudden, you might decide to look at empath. You might decide to try something out of the box to help yourself because you see yourself struggling. So, yeah, I talk on and on and on. I can go on. Go on.
Well, that's all good. You're here to talk. So I'm happy you're doing so. It's just so amazing how, when you face yourself with empath, and it's something that we discussed before, as a young empath, personally, I really, really struggled because I didn't know I was an empath. I didn't know I was like, I knew I was sensitive because people were poking me with it. Right. But like, I was not really seeing, the whole consequence of it. And now that like I really like those last 10 years, it's been like, you know, like getting more awareness to how I tune with people and what my body is naturally doing, coming from a place, you know, of instinct. There is like, you know, a quality, an instinctive quality to empathy that, you know, like it's like very, very deep in each of us, and you allow it, and you have some experience that kind of like allow you to practice it and be open to it, you know. But like, for example, if you're a man, you can be a super sensitive, you know. In our society it's kind of complicated to open to your own feeling, and so sometimes you don't even know what's happened to you inside. So even like talk about that and using words, you know, like to express, you know, what you feel, sometimes you don't even know. And so especially teenage time, like on my 20s, was a very challenging time.
Absolutely. That's the time that, you know, it's hard enough as a teenager, your hormones are going every which way. But if you start looking into the energy parts of what we're developing, because we mature and we start developing, whether it's, you know, age 1 to 9, you're developing your connection to family. Age 10 to 18, you're really looking at the emotional relationships with other people. And it's what, you know, so there's a flavor to each stage of our life and what we're actually working on. And those teenage years are not easy because you don't know what to do with the emotions that you have. And if you're feeling them and they're not yours, and then it's a confusing mess of things. So one of the top things that empaths we need to know is who we are, not who everybody else is. Forget them. Our first top priority is to get a little bit closer and very familiar with what we feel like on every level, you know, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even, you know, the body is the last. There's everything around us. What do we feel like when there's no influence from anybody? And then what happens in certain spaces that I put myself in? What happens? Because what an empath has, which is beautiful, and people are all empaths to some degree or not. I don't really want to accept anybody, just high sensitivity versus low versus middle of the way, right?
That's what I talk about the spectrum. For me, it's definitely something that is very specific to each of us, the way we feel.
Yeah. So like people love to go where? To the beach. Why? It's beautiful at the beach, right? They like to visit ponds and lakes. They like to go into nature. It's beautiful there. The energy that surrounds you is lighter and brighter. So you're going to soak it in, because what happens is your aura is very porous, meaning you will feel the outside more than others. When you're higher, you know, the more sensitive you are, the more you feel it. So you feel vulnerable with that, right? So on purpose, your defense, your strength is to get really comfortable with what energy is and to strengthen what's on the outside of you, not to like block out, because God only knows there's beautiful things out in the world that we really want to let in. And you want to be who you are. I mean, I want to bring this up. I've met one empath. I was giving a presentation and she said, you know what my problem is? She goes, I don't feel anything. She goes, I built walls all around me. I can't feel anything. And I'm like, what? You did what? Like, it was that hard for her. And now she's got these walls around her that she's not letting anybody in. Everything is, so you can't get the good stuff either. So you have to, on purpose, learn these tools so that you don't become closed and angry and resentful and afraid and now what, you know, we are really, really, really strong and gifted energetically in ways that I can't even, you have to experience it. But the same way something can take you down, something can take you way up, and nothing will take you down the more you know these tools. Definitely. It's not a, it's like a gift. It's a gift. Do something
Yeah,
with it.
like we fight with it at first because like there is not any recognition, any value that's been, we don't talk to little boys and little girls and letting them know how it's beautiful to feel. And kids are feeling deeply, and the way we are acting around them, because we as grown up are actually learn about disconnecting, we are showing them, and they feel us and they're like, okay, this is what we need to do. I'm sorry, I'm gonna disappear for 2 seconds because my neighbor is cutting the grass. I have to close the window.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, how was it for you as a kid?
As a kid, I was quiet.
Yeah.
My mother tells me, and I don't remember this, my mother tells me I was shy. I wouldn't, she took me to, I was so shy that she signed me up for dance lessons so that I could get around little girls. And she goes, you hid behind my legs the whole time. And then eventually you got there. But when I was around 6 years old, my parents moved to Sicily and we stayed there temporarily. It was supposed to be, but temporarily turned into 5 years. So I lived in Italy, and she said, I got spunky in Italy. I got very spunky. And you know why? Because people in Italy are very spunky people. And if you're shy or if you're a little reserved, they think you're weak. Like, they absolutely will think that there's something wrong with you. They'll take advantage of you. It's a very different kind of culture. So I got spunky. I don't know why. I mean, it's almost like empathically, I would have absorbed some of that culture in me. So I got spunky. And
it's a strategy, right? It's a strategy to keep people at a safe distance.
actually, you're correct about that, because it does. It puts, my arm is out here. Don't do it. And there's a lot of people in this world that look like they're heartless, but they're not. They can feel you more than and they don't want to feel you. So they would rather be like rough, stay away from me. Do you know what I mean? Then be soft and kind. Because what happens is, if you can feel somebody else's pain, it is not fun. It is not fun for you. So learning to manage that interaction and hold that space without, so what happens is when you run into an energy that's heavier, whether it's anger, resentment, sadness, grief, whatever it is, it's heavy. And it's hard to come face to face with that. Like, empaths want to fix it because they don't want to feel it, but you can't fix it. You have to actually learn to navigate with it and release it and let it go, instead of getting all tight with it. So what happens is their heart would close. Oh, I can't stand this. Like, stop. I don't want to feel this. This is them, not me. And all of a sudden, everything kind of shuts down. So what I tell every empath, and what I have learned myself, is that we really are on a journey of self-healing, because the more we are proactive about releasing anything in us that gets tight or anxious or upset or judgmental, or the less that will magnetically come and impact you. It'll come to you, but it won't impact you the same way. So like, we are the forerunners, like the trailblazers, because the world is going to feel more and more every day. And if we can hold that space and clear the vessel, which is us, of all of the muck and all of the everything that we've picked up along the way, and learn to clear anything new that comes in, then it's not going to magnetize the same way. It's not going to impact us the same way. I know plenty of empaths, and I can see them right away. The fibromyalgia people, all empaths. They're just soaking it in. I'm like, what are you doing? You know, I'm like, but they're not doing it on purpose. It's just happening, right?
Absolutely. But there is something with like chronic stress
Yes.
and being in this state chronically, so not like for an event because we have to be this way to survive. It's just like an eternal, constant, chronic stress that slowly is killing us. And this is a lot of energy
And
to
it's
for that only.
right. People that don't even know the word empath and may not even relate to the word empath are suffering because of the state of how everything is. So it's how they're feeling and it's what's around them. And it's almost a given. This is how America's culture is. This is what's normal. It is not normal to be this way. It is not normal to operate on this kind of a stress every single day. It's not.
We need to realize what's good for us. And as you were saying at the beginning, many empath and highly sensitive people are adapting their life.
Yeah.
So a life more slow pace, a life where they can, you know, like being maybe working from home or not being constantly surrounded from like an environment that they're not choosing. They're kind of like having like a control and really control their environment, their surrounding, and they get very, very, it's a beautiful coping mechanism, but it's kind of like make the life kind of slow, like smaller than it should be.
They do what they do until they find something different, and they have to feel called to move out of that. If you're in the middle of an ascension and you're evolving and you're experiencing life a little bit different, there is this cocooning that's happening. People are going within themselves to find, you know, that connection, to understand the experience, to find their tribe and their people that help them. And it is in and of itself its own thing. And yet you're right, there's this whole big world out here. How do we bring this out? So I guess it's just a matter of it'll happen when it's time to happen. There's a time for us to speak, and there's a time for us to go within and discover a little bit more and embrace what it is that's happening. That's all I can say. I mean, I think it'll all work out in the long run. It's just right now, I think we're really in the thick of a lot of things. So it's just managing, and whatever works for us, we're going to go to until it doesn't work for us anymore. And then we'll shift that up as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. So like, how do you feel that like sensitive can actually like, what are their place into this shift and this evolution, and you know, like the potential future that we have here, you know, like, you know, like we had this COVID time. 2020 has been kind of like super crazy. I mean, like it's unbelievable. So like there is many sensitive out there that, you know, used to complain about, you know, having the world happening to them, but now they're kind of like at home still, you know, and so finding connection has been a big thing right now. If you look at, you know, social media and how people want to connect, you know, like I'm kind of curious how you see, you know, empathic people like take care of that.
Well, most of the empaths I know love their time on their own. They love to be with a close-knit group of people. And some of them, yes, are very lonely because they don't know that anyone really understands them. So they're in groups online, Facebook mainly that I know of, and there's some other places. I'm not sure what to say about, I know we're the forerunners in what's happening. We are experiencing this first. I also know that it's our job to take this really seriously because there's a lot of negativity in the world. And if you lose your center and if you don't know how to handle what's happening within you, the world can take you down, right? The world's got this, it's got that. People all have their, everyone is experiencing some kind of an emotional discomfort right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not more than taking care of yourself, you can't help them, right? You can't help them. So you do help them when you are able to understand what the journey is about and you embrace it. Instead of fighting against it, instead of resisting it, step into it. Learn more, find the right people that you resonate with to guide you. Get into groups that have that positive energy. We do healing circles and they're amazing. When you put us, we're like beautiful, bright lights that people don't understand because they don't see how bright we are, but we really are that bright. One of the first, so I went through an awakening experience. That's what got me here around age 40. I've always been an empath, but I never heard the word before. I always just improvised. I knew what to do, how to do it. I knew certain things would help me. I did those things. Did I have a history where in my late 30s, yep, I went to the doctor crying with depression. I didn't know what to do. Anxiety first thing in the morning. I'm like, how could I be anxious? I have nothing to be anxious about. Why am I anxious? A mind that never stops thinking. Yep, all those things I had. Then around 40, I had an experience that brought me into a roller coaster up and down of so much wonderful, and then falling straight down because of confusion. I'm like, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? What's going on? Like, wasn't good because I didn't really understand what was happening. And from that, I had to find out what was going on because I had missed something along the way. How could I have missed at 40 years old that I didn't understand myself? How could I have these amazing, awesome feelings and then, oh my God, what was that about? And why was that there? And now what do I do? And it wasn't in my control, let's put it that way. So I took it seriously and I found some answers and it was really hard. I was very angry for a little while. I'd say a couple of years of really trying to navigate and clear and understand. And then I found highly sensitive and I'm like, yeah, no, yeah. And then I found empath. I read empath. I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. So, not every empath is highly sensitive, but not every highly sensitive person is an empath. The empath simply has more knowing, more intuitive awareness of what's happening, which is actually good and bad because in that she can sense, she can know, she can trust that. She becomes a little bit more different, right? So can this stuff be learned? Can you become more intuitive? Yeah, absolutely. Can you become more skilled? Absolutely. Can you evolve and step into like a different version of you? Yeah, that's where it stands right there.
So yeah, I love what you're saying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it resonates so much. So each time I have a speaker, I pick up a card, and so the card that we have today for Together Talk, it's about self-trust. And I think there is something there because like very often from a young age, you've been denied that you're feeling and the truth in your feeling. And so there is like dissonance, there is like conflict internally that you're fighting. And this war is very exhausting. And so depression, burnout, like chronic pain, fibromyalgia, all of that is your nervous system going haywire.
Control, yeah.
And telling you, hey, maybe we should slow down a bit. This is not the rhythm that we need. And so getting in touch with yourself, it's actually a skill. It's something that you can learn.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, like it's what you do, like you're providing the space, for your clients to kind of like open to the wisdom, to their intuition, right? So can we go a little bit into, like the space of intuition? Because like, like there is sensitivity that goes beyond the senses, and it's really a knowing. And many times I have many people telling me, I just thought I had I was very creative and I was making it up.
Right. Well, most empaths are definitely feelers. They're feeling and sensing, feeling the emotion, feeling the vibes. They don't always know what they're feeling or why they're feeling it, but they're feeling something off. Some of us are really good at pinpointing exactly why something is off, right? Other times we don't really know. And then there's the feeling, but then there is the knowing. Knowing just drops in. You don't know where it came from, but when you have that knowing, you just know and you just trust. Now, when you don't really know if it's right or not, that's not a knowing. A knowing is you just know. So you have to be paying attention to the signs, because your logical brain could get in the way of your knowing. You could discount it. But if you have a knowing, so there's times when I've had a knowing and it's been immediate. My grandmother's going to pass away. It'll be a couple weeks. She'll pass away. I need to go see her. That's a knowing. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't analyzing it. It just kind of came in. So it's like waiting for that intuition, asking for it, not planning it, not scheming it out on a sheet of paper. It just drops in when it's time, when you're ready. Actually, to be honest with you, the more you try to analyze it with your logical mind, probably the worse it gets, because it blocks. Yeah. And I understand we try to plan and we try to organize and but there's also a feeling. Something feels right, something doesn't feel right. As far as like making decisions, what feels right and up and expansive, that's a yes. If you restrict and that's a no. So it's developing that language, that intuitive language, and then that intuitive awareness as a priority in your life, and you're paying attention and you're listening to it. So for some of us, I think it's amazing, to be honest with you. Some of us are channeling, we're writing, we're journaling, we're connecting to spirit, we're connecting to guides, we're connecting to angels. God, whatever you want to call the divine, it's a beautiful unfolding of who we are. And as long as it's a positively minded connection, because you got to keep in mind that we are human, we are in a heavy dimension. This is the third dimension, fourth maybe for some. We are a lot of emotions, a lot of back and forth, good and bad, a lot of anger, a lot of that. So when the more we work on that whole self-healing piece and releasing piece and intuitive, that intuition comes with that, because there's no interference. You learn to kind of empty your mind and you learn to go with what the feeling is and to trust the feeling. So that intuition piece I think is amazing. Everybody should be looking at that, but unfortunately not everybody in this world really cares about, you know, I think they're using their intuition along the way, but they're not, maybe it's not for them. It's not for this lifetime for them to go there. So it doesn't mean anything to them. It doesn't drive them. But for like me, and maybe for you, maybe for your speakers, maybe for, you know, people watching this, it's right down your alley. You're going to love it. There's so much to sink your teeth into. There's so much joy in the world. There's so much joy within you that the other stuff is just garbage. We're going to get rid of it. And some of it belongs to other people and you absorbed it. And some of it belongs to you. And you just don't even know it's there.
Yeah. So connect with yourself and this whole aspect of kind of like, you know, as we call that, you know, self-development, right? But it's kind of like an active work. There is like energy, time dedicated toward that. And I feel there is like many curious people that, you know, connect with this idea of, you know, sensitivity and especially empathy. So yeah, thank you so much for talking with us today.
You're welcome.
I really like it.
You're welcome.
So yeah, like I always ask for this last question, if you would have like, you know, like something you would really like sensitive and empathic people out there to know.
Sure.
What would it be?
I have an MP4 file. It's a video. It's a webinar I did. It's called Feelings, Truth, and Loving Your Life. So in there, I go pretty in depth about some foundational truths you need to keep in mind, some of the myths out there that get in the way of happiness, and then how to diffuse negativity. How do you clear it from your space, from yourself, from impacting you? Because it lives. It lives, right? It lives. And the question is, what are you going to do with it? Because you are here, you are engaged, you have people that you love that are filled with negativity, but you love them. So what do you do with that? So that's available. It's, I think the link, you have the link to it.
Yeah, it would be like below the video, so you can like just click on the link. Yeah. And I really believe that, you know, getting more aware of what we call the limiting belief, all those things that we believe about our reality, about the world, about ourselves, that can be actually like just a little part of the equation. So it's usually a blind spot. It's usually a spot that we are not really aware. So it's really empowering to get some awareness about that.
Well, in as much as it's awareness, it's, remember, it's vibration. Yeah. The more you, so if you think a certain way, you believe a certain way, you vibe a certain way, right? So the moment you start changing your feelings, your thoughts, your beliefs, you start vibing a little bit different. So the idea is to just kind of, you're going to see it along the way. It doesn't happen. It's not a switch, right? It's up and down, like it's cyclical. It's up and down. You're going to learn, you're going to learn, you're going to make progress. Things are going to get really hard. Then you're going to learn that. Like that's the journey of life. You just want to be proactive about it and not get stuck repeating the same thing over and over, time and time again. Or, you know, because you're so afraid and so scared of repeating it, you close down, right? No. You walk through it, you find out why and what you needed to learn, and you make whatever challenge comes your way, pivot, you learn what it is what that was, and then move through it. Because when you move through it, you come out the other end a totally different person. When you kind of stay on the sidelines and refuse to go through it, then you're just on the sidelines, not doing anything with it. But, you know, so everything that comes your way means something. Look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's so much empowerment because like there is like a choice there and we can choose to be definitely on the sideline and or we can choose like to really look at it and learn from it. So thank you so much, Michelle, for our talk today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, viewers. Thank you for following the summit. Please comment and let us know what really resonates with you for this talk today. And I will see you tomorrow for another interview with another speaker. I'm sending you my love. Bye.